and all of a sudden you walking around 46 and Chestnut with slippers and pajama pants on, sitting outside of the laundromat crying, not knowing why. True story. I knew it was bad once I started talking to the cat about the meaning of life. But that really wasn't the scary part. The scary part was the raccoon. The raccoon was really having some bad visions. I just didn't trust him. That raccoon needed help. He should talk to somebody. Hey Lithium loggers, welcome to the second episode of Did You Take Your Meds Today? I'm your host DeeHud, and today is Tuesday, April 26th. And if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, you need to go ahead and go out and make sure you cast your vote. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you do so. The polls stay open till about 8 p.m., I believe. So you have time, depending on what time you're watching this, you have time to still go out there and make sure you vote today. So, I just want to first start off by saying, I know I'm giving all types of Baduism life right now, but that's because my hair looks like my Uncle Jerome's chest hair. And I don't want to show that on camera. Not at least until I get a full color. And then like a cut. I'm looking real chest hair curly-ish right now. It just don't look good. It don't look good. So we're gonna stick with the scarf. We're gonna try something new. I just want to say thank you to all of the people that have commented, gave me feedback, that have sent texts and tweets and Facebook messages. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The thing about this is, I'm doing this because I want to really help someone get through their journey of mental illness. And if this can be a tool to help somebody feel that they're not alone and that they are normal and that other people are going through this and they don't have anything to be ashamed of, then I've done my part. And so I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the encouragement that I've received. I'm also equally excited about a lot of the emails that I got in regards to this particular topic, our second topic, which is our diagnosis stories. And I'm just really, it was really awesome and uplifting to hear a lot of the things that people had to say about when they were first diagnosed. And, the overall theme was they felt betrayed by their brain, and they felt as if they were some kind of anomaly, or that they were different, and they didn't really know how to make heads or tails of it. And the thing about this is, we all felt like that when it happened. So you're not alone. Nope. Each and every one of us felt like that, especially if we had no clue that it ran in our family or that it was about to take place. Because again, symptoms and signs of mental illness can mirror symptoms and signs of stress or bad eating habits or bad sleeping habits. It really can. So, it was just really uplifting to hear. So I appreciate you guys for sharing your stories, and I emailed every one of you guys back. And every one of those emails, I meant everything that I said. So let's get into the second episode, and now I'm going to share with you guys my diagnosis story. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. So, I was diagnosed 3 years ago. I was 30, and you may hear my dog in the background. Sorry. I was 30 years old when I was diagnosed, and I had signs, prior to the age of 30. I think I was around the age of 22 actually, when I first started seeing signs, and it was shortly after I had my son, who is thriving well. He's now 12 years old. But it was shortly after I had my son, I had gone through postpartum very heavily. And shortly after getting out of the postpartum stage, I began to have a really rough time as far as anxiety was concerned, and stress was concerned. And I was just very high, high energy, high stress, and just like acting a whole fool, basically. um so that the signs begin to show early on. I had kind of got into a situation where I had to pull my car over. I was in the car with my son and my two sisters and my aunt and my mother, and it just seemed so loud. It just seemed like it was a lot of people in the car, and something in my head said, run the car into a pole. No, I will not. My son is back there sitting in his car seat saying, hey, mommy, and smiling. Why would I drive my car into a pole and do that? It was at that point in time where I got out of my car. I looked to my aunt and I said, hey, you know where you at? Because she just started driving, had just started driving. And I asked if she knew where she was. She said, yeah. I said, okay. I pulled my little stuff over and said, all right, I ain't even say nothing. I ain't even say, all right, y'all holla at you. I just got up, boom, bounced out, started walking. Pajama pants, slippers, laundry bag. Don't know what took place. I was just walking. And in that time, I think I blacked out a little bit. Next thing I know, I'm on the phone talking to my old college professor who was a psychologist. Like, listen, this is what's going on. I need some help. Time passed. At that point in time, I talked to a therapist and I kind of worked through those things, thinking it was just stress. I was working. I had a new baby. I had just moved home with my mama. Ding, 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 ding. That was a lot of stress within itself right there. I was living with my mama. Now, count that one. Anywho, so I just thought it was stress. And so did my therapist. So years go by, and now I am 30. And I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I had my sisters, my three sisters had come to live with me while my mom needed a little bit of support. And that was a bit overwhelming because I was newly married, and I also had my adopted sister living with me. So it was like 8 of us in one house, a 3-bedroom house. So I'm just like, ugh. I just felt like the walls was closing in on me. And what happened was I started to become very irritable. And I got agitated very quickly. So much so that when I would get into an argument with my husband, I would break something, or I would throw something, or I would storm out. It was horrible. It was bad. It was bad. And I had always had a bad temper. But this was getting to the point where every day I'm cussing something out. I'm yelling at somebody. I'm throwing something. I'm breaking something. I'm ripping, tearing. It was bad. It was so bad. It was bad. So I went to my doctor because also during that time I started to experience a lot of dizziness and a lot of like I kept feeling like I was gonna pass out. So I went to my doctor, and my doctor was saying, well, you know what? It seemed like you're experiencing some panic attacks. So I'm going to give you some Zoloft. Okay. That'll help. And I'm going to give you Seroquel to help you sleep. Because I was not sleeping. I was up all night. It was too much. So now for most people, or for people with mental illness, you guys know what I'm explaining is I was having manic episodes. So I can't sleep at night. I'm high energy. I'm agitated like nobody's business. I'm basically explaining that I was in a manic state. And I was at the high point of my cycle of mania. That's basically what I'm explaining. So, but of course I was at my general doctor. My general doctor is not, trained to see the signs of psychosis. No, he's not. Or the signs of mania rather. So I take the Zoloft, the Seroquel as needed for sleep or whatever. Okay, great. So time passed. I have been on Zoloft. I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. It feels good. I'm a little calmer. Everything's going well, right? Wrong, because at maybe about eight months later, I went into a full manic episode, and I attacked someone that was very dear. That's very dear. The attack was so bad and was so violent that that person had to go to the hospital, and almost lost their life. Essentially is what happened. And in that moment, I had no, I had, I had no emotions about it. I was just kind of like washed over. You know, it was no apathy. It was no empathy. It was none of these things. It was none of those, you know, situations where I did not have any of the emotions that a person should have when they hurt somebody that they love or they care for. And the problem, so here I am, like literally out my mind with rage. I'm I'm I can't explain to you how bad it really was, but what I can say is it was to the point where my friends or my sisters and the people that had experienced what was going on did not want to be around me. They did not know who I was. They did not know what was going on with me. They did not know what was going on in my head, and they did not trust me because obviously at any given moment I could just snap off and pop off and just do God knows what at any given point in time. That's how bad it was. It was literally one of those situations where I had no empathy, no apathy. I had no concern for my well-being, for my family members' well-being. I could care less had anyone died that day. I was so checked out that after the situation took place where I had attacked my loved one, I went outside because I was going to Target. My loved one is on the way to the hospital, and I'm going to Target. Anybody want anything? You? You want? Because you know they got Starbucks there too. You good? Okay. It was literally like that. So now we go to the doctor. He prescribes me, he sets me up with an appointment to see a psychiatrist. 4 weeks go by, I still haven't gone. But now I'm in a space of depression. So now I'm not here anymore. I'm not in a manic episode. Now I'm coming down. I'm becoming depressed. And I'm crying. And I am just sad. And I won't get out of bed. And I won't go to work. And I won't leave the house. And I just won't. I won't cook. I won't clean. I won't be around the kids. I barricade myself in my bedroom. I don't want to take a shower. What is going on? I'm on the bed one Sunday and I am crying and I am bawling and I say, I need my mom. I tell my husband, go get my mom. He already knew, no questions asked. I'm just going to go get her mom. Because now it's some time now. And so now my mom is back around. My mom, is here. She gets to the house. What's going on? I don't want to be here. It just hurts. What hurts? Life. Life hurts. Everybody hates me. Nobody wants to be around me. Nobody cares about me. I just need to go somewhere. The following day. And my mom sat there. I took a Seroquel. I went to sleep. My mom sat there with me. The following day, I checked myself in to Abington Psych Ward. I let them know what was going on. We went through the emergency room, let them know what was going on. They admitted me that day and kept me for a week. During that week, I saw a therapist and I took part in group therapy, of which we're going to talk about in another vlog. we're going to talk about my time there. But I'm sitting here and I'm talking to the psychiatrist and the therapist simultaneously. And they say to me, you were on Zoloft. You were on Zoloft without being on a mood stabilizer. So you were on an antidepressant without being on a mood stabilizer, which essentially made you more depressed. And the reason that took place is because you're bipolar. Your characteristics, the way you're acting, the way you are speaking, and the things that's going on, you're bipolar. Your rage is a sign of manic depression. You have a form of depression that when you get depressed, you still experience sadness, but you also experience high points of anger to the point that it can be deadly. So we want to talk to you a little bit more. We want to run a couple of tests. We want you to be in a couple groups, and we want to see how this works out. I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this and I'm like, so what does that mean? I'm bipolar and I'm manic depressive. What does that mean exactly? I can't control my emotions. I don't know how to what? And what does that say about me for all these years? So when I used to get upset about different things, was that me or was that the bipolar? What does this mean? And what does that mean for the rest of my life or the quality of my life? Am I going to have to take medication forever? Once I was diagnosed, it was a little hard. It was hard. It was hard. But I created some steps to help me accept what was taking place. And I'm going to share those steps with you because maybe they will help. So the first thing I did was I kept a journal. I wrote in my journal daily about what was going on with me, about what I was feeling, what emotion I was going through that day, how I was feeling, what took place during that day. I wrote something positive about myself every single time I wrote in my journal. Whether it was, you are still confident, you are still bold, you are still you. I had to reinforce for myself that just because I have been diagnosed does not mean I am a different person. Does not mean I lose the great characteristics and the great qualities that I have about me. It does not mean that I am a person that no longer deserves to be loved and cared for and accepted. I had to do that for myself because nobody else can do that for me. I had to feel good about me, so I had to write those things down. I read my Bible, number 2. I read my Bible and I prayed often. And I went and meditated on what God said about me and what He says I am and who He says that I am. And I had to do that often because He says who I am. He sets the tone of how and who I want to, how I want to be, the woman I want to be and who I want to be. He sets that. He tells me that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I had to believe that. I had to believe that for myself. And I have to walk in that because He said so. Number 3, I took my medication. Regardless of how hard and how upsetting and how much I did not want to be labeled and I didn't want to, I took my medicine. Why? Because I noticed that there was a difference when I took my medication. I noticed that when I did not take my medication, there was a difference. Things changed. My attitude changed when I did not take my medicine. I noticed it. So I took my medicine. I had to. Number 4, I went to therapy as prescribed. If I had to go to intensive outpatient treatment for 4 days a week for 30 days, I did it. I did it. Why? Because if I never wanted to be back to where I was that night, I needed to do what I needed to do for my mental health. I needed to be accountable. 5, I apologize to everyone involved. Not just the person that I hurt, but the people that witnessed the hurt. Because it happened to them too, right? I had to. And while I may have not wanted to tell them what was going on with me once I found out, I still had to be responsible and apologize for my actions and my lack of care. And my last, but certainly not least tip or step that I took was I accepted where I was in that moment. And I tried to do the best I could do with what I now knew about myself. Essentially, I was accepting me. And I was taking care of me regardless of what I did not want to accept, regardless of what, if I did not feel that I shouldn't be labeled, I still had to accept where I was in that moment, which is in that moment, I had to take medicine. In that moment, I had to go to therapy. In that moment, I was bipolar. I was manic depressive or manically depressed. I had to accept it. And that was the only way that I was going to be able to move forward. Because when you're in denial, you are never going to move forward. If you keep trying to find ways why that isn't the answer, then it won't be the answer. But then you'll never get to the next problem. You're going to still be stuck on that same problem trying to figure out the answer. When the answer was right there all along, you just decided not to use that one because you didn't like it. You didn't like the answer. You want a different answer. It's the answer. Now, do I feel that I'm going to have to take medication for the rest of my life? I don't know. My God is a healing God. He's a powerful God. But he also gave me wisdom, and he also gave me doctors. And I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I take care of myself. And while I know that God can heal me, until he does, I'm going to be responsible and take my medicine. Well, that was my diagnosis story. All right, guys, that was my diagnosis story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little heavy today, but hey, we're going to have some light, some heavy. Not a big deal. Listen, episode 3 will be coming at you next week, entitled If You're Happy and You Know It, Shake Your Meds. And we are going to be talking about making sure you're taking your medication consistently and properly. And never, ever, 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 ever just stop taking your medicine. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you about the time when I did that. It was out for a whole 30 days. Yeah. So we will be coming back at you next Tuesday with vlog episode number 3. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure that you like, you comment, and you share. and you subscribe, people. Make sure you subscribe. If you love it, then subscribe so you can get the latest videos each time we come. Also, you can check out my other video, which is the link below. So I will see you guys next Tuesday. This is your girl DeeHud, and just saying to you, make sure you take your meds. Why? Because your family and your friends will thank you. Duh. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.